We've seen an enormous rise in the impact of skills on the life chances of people. We see that in the impact skills have on the earnings of people, on the chances of employment, but also on areas like civic participation, political participation, and even trust in our societies is increasingly closely related to the skills that people have. People without the right skills end up at the margins of society. Technological progress doesn't translate into economic growth, and countries have a harder time to compete in today's hyper-connected world without the right skills. But at the very same time, on the one end, we see graduates on our streets that can't find a job, Italy included, while at the very same time, employers say they cannot find the people with the skills they need. And that tells us that more education, in raising the quantity of education, doesn't necessarily translate into better skills and ultimately better jobs and better lives. And if we want to understand that, we have to see that the kind of skills that make people successful have changed significantly over the last decades. We have seen a decline in the demand for manual skills. That's pretty obvious because those kind of jobs got automated or outsourced. But in fact, the steepest decline in the demand for skills is no longer in the area of manual skills. It's in what we call routine cognitive skills. The kind of things that are easy to teach, the kind of things that are easy to test, are also easy to digitize, to automate, and to outsource. And in a sense, if our children are not, if we want our children to be smarter than a smartphone, we have to think about non-routine analytic skills, helping them not only to remember what they learn in school, but to extrapolate from what they know and to use their knowledge in novel situations. In one way, you can say that the modern world no longer rewards us just for what we know. Google knows everything. The modern world rewards us for what we can do with what we know. And that's also how we build our new assessment and evaluation systems around education. When you look at the global PISA rankings that we do at the OECD, we do not test whether students can simply reproduce what they've learned. We want to know whether they can use their knowledge creatively. And you can see that countries come out very, very differently when measured in this way. Some countries that are very strong on traditional subject matter content, such as the Eastern European countries, do only so when they are measured on the creative skills. East Asian countries do well on both. If you look to Shanghai in China or to Japan, Korea, Singapore, they tend to do well on the disciplinary knowledge, but also on their ways of thinking, on their ways of working. Countries in Europe are in the middle of the pack. In fact, apart from Northern Europe, Finland, none of the countries in Europe comes out at the very top of the list. It's a lot of room for improvement. Not necessarily in traditional qualifications. Europe ranks quite well in the number of degrees that are awarded. But when you look at the skills of people directly, there's a lot of room for improvement in most of the European countries. And the same is true for North America. There's a lot we can do to give people better skills. There's a lot we can do to help them use the right skills. One of the things that we find is when we look at the talent that people have. Japan comes out very much on top, and the United States comes out actually quite poorly on this in terms of available talent. But when we actually look at how successful our economies in extracting value from talent, no country beats the United States. The United States is very, very good in converting better skills into better jobs and better lives. Japan has a very hard time with this. So this is the other part of the equation we need to factor into this. How well are we making use of our talent? And both of these things together shape the way in which our economies develop and our societies shape. One thing is very clear, that skills have really become the currency of 21st century economies.